The couple went on a vacation trip to a house they had rented for the weekend, but it turned out the house was also occupied by another tenant. They ended up using the house together, but something terrible happened to the couple. They were Diego and Sage, a couple who were traveling to a large villa for a weekend getaway. They booked the villa online. It was in a nice location surrounded by forests and had a large lake behind it. When they arrived there, they were amazed to see the villa was quite large and spacious, especially since it was just the two of them. They should have brought a lot of friends to vacation there. Sage couldn't hide his admiration for the villa until they finally took the opportunity to make love. When they finished doing that, suddenly they heard the sound of an approaching vehicle. A couple appeared in front of them, Will and Sin. Somehow, they both booked the villa on the same day and at the same time. Maybe it was a mistake in the booking system so they could be there together. Of course, Diego and Sage felt uncomfortable when their vacation at the villa was visited by strangers. Will and Sin started to discuss leaving the villa, but Sin still wanted to stay there, especially since the villa was big enough for the four of them. At first, Diego and Sage were a bit reluctant, but Shin offered to make food and party together. In the end, they agreed to go on vacation and share the villa together. Sage was with Shin while Will approached Diego, who was taking some things from his car. At that time, Will saw Diego taking his grandmother's ring, which he planned to give to Sage to propose to her at the villa. Of course, Will supported what Diego had planned. That night, they ate together. Then, after that, each of them had their own activities. On the other hand, Diego started to feel uncomfortable because Chin asked him to help get his clothes from the room. It seemed like Shin did that on purpose so she could get Diego's attention. Sin then told Sage about the incident as if she wanted to annoy him and ruin their relationship. Luckily, Diego was able to explain what happened and Sage believed him. They got back together, and that night, Diego and Sage were invited to a room that seemed to be locked for visitors. Coincidentally, Will and Sin had been there long before the door was locked. There they found many old photos of a family who died tragically. But because Sage didn't like being there, they finally got out. Will and Sin's presence there turned out to make things go wrong. At that time, Will suddenly proposed to Sin using a ring that belonged to Diego's grandmother. How did he get it? Diego was angry and upset and asked Will to return the ring. Will explained and apologized he would return the ring to Diego. Will did that because he had no other choice. He said he was cheated on by Sin, so the ring was the only way for Sin to be interested in him again. Will's story made Diego also express what he had been holding in. He had also been betrayed by Sage, who went with his ex-girlfriend. He knew that, but he didn't want to tell Sage. After they seemed to have made up, Will did something strange to Sage again. This time, he asked her to go look for something in the city. But in the car, he deliberately made Sage upset by telling what Diego had told him. Not only that, Will even tried to take advantage of Sage. On the other hand, the same thing happened to Sin and Diego. Sin tried to seduce Diego. Since then, Diego and Sage's relationship has been a bit chaotic, especially since Sage seems more comfortable with Sin. Sin invites Sage to take a shower in the rain and swim in the lake. A few moments later, Sage returns with mixed feelings. He is also seen arguing with Diego and suspects him of being with Kin. Behind the door, Sin and Will apparently hear their argument. Not long after, Diego came out to ask for their help if Sage ran away because they were fighting. But it turned out that Diego and Sage had planned this. They knew that something was wrong with the couple. They went to the locked room and opened it the same way Will did. In fact, the villa was their home. The family who died tragically in the photo was their father and mother. Not only that, CCTV was also spread in every corner of the room, which meant that Diego and Sage were being spied on. Not long after, Will and Shin appeared. They had expected that this would happen. Will and Sage did this because their parents were blocking their forbidden love. They were also the cause of their parents' death. Diego and Sage didn't want to interfere in their problems and decided to leave, but their car was hit by another car, driven by Sin. It seemed like they wouldn't let Diego and Sage go just like that. They would torture and make their relationship a mess. Unfortunately, Will was impressed with them because so far Diego and Sage were still holding on to their relationship. When there was a chance, Will and Sage tried to escape, but of course it wasn't that easy. Sage managed to escape and injured Sin, but he was waited for by Will outside. Meanwhile, Diego faced Sin, who was getting wilder and crazier. He managed to injure Sin and gave him a chance to escape. Then he faced Will again, who was carrying a chainsaw. Diego was cornered, But luckily, Sage threw an axe right at Will's head. Diego and Sage tried to escape using a boat, but Sin was still a threat to them. Diego was really annoyed until he finished Sin until she sank to the bottom of the lake. Diego managed to get his ring back and gave it to Sage as a token of his love for her.